Hey everybody, thinking of all of you gathered as small groups, maybe others of you are just with a friend, but you're ready to talk about doubt. This is kind of fun. What I'm wanting to provide is a little summary of my sermon this last weekend, on Easter weekend. And on Easter weekend, we talked about that on the first Easter, the first one way back in the biblical record when Jesus first resurrected, his friends were doubting. Doubt is an Easter theme. It's so interesting. In John chapter 20, we find three of Jesus' closest friends. We've got John the apostle and Mary Magdalene and Thomas the apostle. And all three of them have been told, "It happened, the tomb is empty." Jesus had promised them, on the third day, I'm going to rise again. You know what they all did? They doubted. All three of them. They're like, yeah, I'm not buying it yet. And friends, that's so encouraging to me that God would include their story in the Bible, this John 20. It's so encouraging because it tells us that God's saying doubt is normal, friends. I expect doubt with everybody. It's part of my plan. I wanted you to doubt. Because doubt is a road we must travel if we're going to journey to the glorious destination called belief. We looked at the three people and we discovered that there are three ways, at least in this chapter, that God resolved doubt. In the case of John, the Apostle John, you may recall, he rushed up to the tomb, and it says he looked in it carefully, and he saw the burial clothes of Jesus. And upon investigation of the material evidence, he believed. And we see this pattern with John, and that is that doubt plus investigation can equal belief. And that is the case for many people. Many people need to study the facts. They need to look at the data. They need to engage in this thing called apologetics, which is a study of the reason for faith. And many of us have kind of this intellectual side that love to investigate and read and learn and take a look at the evidence. And sometimes the investigation of the evidence is used by Jesus to bring us to belief. That was John. But then we learned about Mary. Mary Magdalene, she too investigated. She looked in the same tomb at the same burial cloths, but still doubted. And so people are different, and that's okay. God's made us and understands exactly what we're like. Well, in the case of Mary Magdalene, it was doubt plus relationship that led to belief. It was relational. She came out and she was weeping out of the tomb, that is, and weeping. And there was a guy there. She thought it was a gardener. But this gardener said, "Mary." And the familiar sound of Jesus' voice and the familiar recognition of her name, this relational dynamic, she turned to him and hugged him and said, "My Lord." And it was that reminder of, you know me. And for some of us, it's turning the Bible open and studying the person of Jesus, being persuaded by his character, by his beauty, where we know this guy's no fraud. He is who he says he is. I know him, and therefore I believe. For still others, we're like Thomas. And in the case of Thomas, it's doubt plus experience that led to belief. It's kind of interesting. Thomas was like a week after Easter. He's still doubting. He's like, yeah, not buying it. He thought he needed the evidence, investigation. He said, "Until I can put my finger in the holes of his hands and my hand in his side," these are wounds from his crucifixion, "until I can tangibly explore the evidence, I won't believe." But interestingly, the Lord knew Thomas better than he knew himself. The Lord's like, "No, Thomas, you think you need investigation. What you really need is experience of the supernatural." Like, wow. Thomas was gathered with his friends and the room was locked. Even though the doors were locked, somehow Jesus miraculously materialized in the room. And when Thomas saw him, knowing that, how did he do that? And then when Jesus knew what he was thinking, Jesus said, "I know what you want. You want to put your hand in my side and touch my hands." Jesus' supernatural knowledge of what Thomas had confessed only to his friends. Thomas is like, "My Lord and my God." He came to believe. And some of us have a supernatural experience. God just shows up miraculously and we sense his presence or we experience his involvement in our lives in a way that's undeniable. And that experience forever convinces us that it's all true. And so, I don't know what it is for you. I do know this. Doubt is normal. And if you'll hang in there, bring your doubt to Jesus and keep pursuing that process of wrestling with doubt and seeking belief, he'll help us all get there. Friends, it's time to discuss this great topic.